All right, well, hi everyone. Welcome to our second session. Today's session is on Journey Builder. I'm Paul Chang. I'm from AF Digital.
My name is Maartje Drok.
So just to for anyone that's new on the call and just to know about us as AF Digital, we are a gold consulting partner with Salesforce. We focus on our specializations of sales, service, marketing cloud, community cloud, Datorama. We also work with IC partners. So we're very much cross-cloud in helping our customers achieve their objectives through all those clouds. We're very much an advisory model where we provide advisory to customers, providing them with experience that we've gained. We implement projects, and we also have a managed services team, which we call Team X. Essentially, it's a team extension or of your team in order to help you get to your objectives much quicker. Just on that slide, actually, as much before, we are listed on the App Exchange if you want to see some reviews on AF Digital as well. Okay, yeah, so we are essentially as a one-stop shop. So we help all our customers. We perform health checks to help understand the lay of the land, how they can then understand what they need to do to achieve what they should out of the platforms or clouds. We work through integrations of data. Data is very key. We've got power-ons, which essentially are things that can get you live quite quickly. What we are very much a believer on is trying to get you MVP done, set up very quickly so that you can then continue to use it, and then we can continue to innovate and build on that. Our Team X team or managed services really look at supporting you, providing you admin type services, marketing operations, and tech ops. Again, just introduce myself. My name is Paul Chang. I've actually been working on the platform since it was called Exact Target, so going on 10 years. And so I've used to work for Salesforce itself when we were acquired by Salesforce, and then now I'm leading the team at AF Digital.
Yeah, my name is Maartje. I'm a senior Salesforce consultant at AF Digital. I help with sales, service, and marketing cloud implementations, mainly marketing cloud. 10 times Salesforce certified, and I'm also a certified Datorama solution architect. So if you haven't heard about Datorama, I would definitely recommend checking that out as well. It's a great marketing BI platform that ties well into marketing cloud. All right, so just a brief outline of what we covered in our last session. So our last session was all about data modeling and the contact model within Marketing Cloud. So we discussed the contact model, how to think about journeys and how to work backwards on the contact model. Data retention, so how to keep your instance clean and to remember as well that that only deletes within a data extension when using data retention settings. Contact delete. So how to keep your contact limit accurate and make sure you don't go over that. And then also using data views and send logs. So they are very helpful views that you can use in the backend of the platform. We provide you with tracking that's not normally visible in the UI, and how you can use that as well. For this session, we are going to focus all about Journey Builder. We have two main topics that we want to discuss. The first one is the customer journeys and lifecycle. So really what you should do prior to starting with Journey Builder. So talking about your customer lifecycle, customer journeys, and how to set up your customer journey strategy. After that, we're going to deep dive into Journey Builder. We'll do a quick introduction of Journey Builder, talk about again how it ties back with the contact model, and some of the technical aspects, such as the entries and the activities, using goals and exit criteria, and then we'll do a demo at the end as well. And then after that, we have some time for Q&A. Feel free to ask your questions throughout the session. We might do some if we have some time, and otherwise we'll assess them at the end. All right, let's get started. So first, we're going to talk about customer journeys.
All right, so I like to start off with this slide, and I know some of my customers would have seen me present this slide, but I do really like to start with this slide, especially when we're talking about customer journeys and the experience, because everything about customer journeys is about providing an experience for your customers. And the reason why I show this particular slide, and I've got there the age of the customer, is because really it is the age of the customer. You're no longer custodians of your own brands. Really, the people, your customers, are actually now deciding on how the experience should be for them. Now that they have social media, they can essentially hashtag frustration, hashtag this, and then really as a business, as a brand, you should be listening to your customers. So this particular slide, and why is Paul showing us a tomato ketchup bottles? The reason I'm showing it is because Heinz actually used to do a bottle, or I think they brought it back, but the glass bottle, which is a beautiful bottle, nice glass bottle, you'd purchase it. But one of the biggest frustrations that I'm sure all of you are really familiar with is trying to get the tomato sauce out at the very end. So you're smacking the base of that bottle and you're trying as hard as you can and nothing would come out. And then what happened with social media, it's hashtag frustrated at the Heinz glass bottle, can't get the tomato. What did Heinz do? They listened to their customers. And what happened then is they came out with the squeezable tomato ketchup bottle there. So what I'm trying to say here is that it's all about the experience that you give your customers. If you give your customers the right experience, they're going to be your advocates. They're going to definitely want to work with you, to want to buy from you, and really promote your brand, and that's what you want. And when you're talking about journey builder, remember that there is a human at the end of every communication you send to them. So think about the experience that you're giving them. So yeah, that's so as we go through this, it's all about the experience. So again, this slide we showed last week, but it's also always true about the life cycles or customer life cycle, where customers or a lot of brands or businesses always push heavily on the acquisition. So the lifetime value of any customer always drops at the very end. What you try to always focus on with journeys is to maintain a steady engagement through their life cycle to maintain that lifetime value. So they're not only a customer during acquisition and purchase from you, but you continue to keep them engaged and help that lifetime value throughout their lifetime with you.
This is just a slide on the customer lifecycle. So this is basically kind of marketing 101 of the different stages that a customer can go through. Looking at the acquisition stage, the onboarding stage, the grow, retain, and advocacy. And what you can do is overlay this life cycle onto your own business and see the different touch points that a customer might have, and then turn that into journeys. So that, for example, what that could look like is, journeys can be the building blocks of this customer engagement. So looking at each of the stages at awareness and acquisition, we're looking more at informative journeys, welcoming a new subscriber, maybe helping them during their first purchase, referring a friend, onboarding and engagement. So there might already be an existing customer or they've been engaging with your brand. You can encourage them to sign up or influence to do a next purchase or upsell, download the mobile app, encourage to complete a survey, or even do profile completion. So you get more data about that customer. And looking at the last stages, you can look at, product and service reviews, abandoned cart journeys, re-engagement, win back, or even birthday and anniversary journeys. So, looking at each of these stages and look at what journeys would work for your company.
Yeah, it's a good idea as well to, as you can see in that slide, there's a few examples there that you could use, but also to prioritize those journeys. And what we like to do is prioritize it based on the effort that's involved in them and the return that will be provided. So, for example, a welcome to new subscribers is low effort, but it's got huge value. Or something like a abandoned cart might be a more high effort but higher value. So just to prioritize, to try to encourage to get some journeys live and not that you can see some ROI, and then focus on the ones that are potentially going to take a little bit longer, so that you at least have some ROI coming from some of your journeys.
Definitely. So what we have seen is that customer journeys drive positive results, and marketers, strongly agree that customer journey strategy has positive impact. And we can see that in a few elements. So we can see that in customer engagement, customers' willingness to recommend a product or service, revenue growth, especially if you're upselling or cross-selling a product, customer satisfaction scores, and customer churn rates as well. So how to really get started with customer journeys? We recommend some of these steps. So first, just to set high-level goals and focus on your efforts and continually refine them as you learn more and nail down your strategy. Then look at the different audiences that you want to target. So know your customer lifecycle, identify each of those stages and what those touch points are. What are the different segments that you want to target to as well? Next, looking at identify and collect data needs. So especially in the beginning, when you start off with journeys, what data do we currently have available and can we use? And what data do we need or want in the future? And where does that data sit? And how can we bring that into Marketing Cloud and tie that together to our customer? As last, craft content and channels. So channels directly tied to the audience that you have identified, and channel conversations should really be centered about demographics or situations, life stages, or the urgency of the message. So channels work for different types of audience and different types of situations, and craft content that works with that as well. Now, a lot of clients, they often ask, where do I really start with journeys? And we always recommend to start small, as Paul said. Start with what you have and then build upon that. So really looking at the crawl, walk, run method is first looking at crawl, what content do you have? Or maybe you have existing journeys that you want to replicate in Marketing Cloud and bring over. What data do you have available for the audience? And also looking at your resources. So what can I currently build quickly that will bring me results fast? And laying down a foundation as well for the next steps. So during the walk stage, you can look at more, extending those journeys, adding more channels, testing, maybe looking at dynamic content or variations of the journeys. And then in the run stage, you can look at, what content can I really delight a customer, or how can I assist them during their journey, and providing as well more channels and more decision points.
Has anyone seen this type of situation where they've gone into a whiteboard and they've gone and tried to map out their customer experience? It's great to map it out, and it's very something that I definitely think you should do from a high level strategic point of view. Understanding your customers, what are your customers, how can you segment your customers, for example? How do you understand your customers? What are some of the things that your customers will react to? But for me, I would suggest that you jump into your Marketing Cloud journey builder and you just start building. My definite recommendation is to get everyone involved, the sales, customer service, marketing, all in a room. Start just building that framework of journey builder, and that's really a great situation that a lot of my customers are using, where they're just putting, okay, let's see, this journey is re-engagement. Okay, what does that entry look like? Okay, let's document that. That's what we're sending the first email. Then what happens? How long do we wait? What are we trying to achieve here? What's our goal? And bringing everyone involved in today's conversation and seeing it, visualizing it like this, means that everyone can be accountable of what they need to provide for that journey. And not only that, they are also going to be able to understand every step of that journey. And when a customer is on that journey, they actually know what's happened before and what's happened after. So I'm very much of an advocate of getting everyone to jump on the actual Marketing Cloud and building out those journeys. Other thing that I want to suggest as the crawl, walk, run is you've got a few things, but when you're building journeys, you'll see if you ever use it, and if you have used it, you'll see you can get very complicated with building out paths, and if they didn't open, then do this, and if they didn't open, then do this. If they, you can go and on. But the way I like to really help my customers understand how to do journey building in the very beginning anyway, is to think of what's that top path look like? What's the perfect path that if they were to follow everything that you wanted to do, then what would that look like? If I was to send an email and I said, click here to buy, and they went to the website and buy, and then I said, thank you. That's the path that you want to make sure you're getting right. And then every other path below it is about how do you get them back up. And in the demo, we'll show you about joins and how you just can make things much simpler with the joins to the path that you want them to take. I've also got there, do I use dynamic content? So a lot of my customers ask me that question. I think dynamic content is a fantastic tool and feature of Marketing Cloud. However, when you are using dynamic content, you need to know why you're using dynamic content. The dynamic content in a journey allows you to have one email with dynamic content in it that will then decide what content is shown to that particular person. And then they go through that journey. When you are using dynamic content, you should look at it that I'm looking at the end outcome. My email is about getting Paul to buy a jacket and Maartje to buy pants. So then when I look at my reporting and revenue, I'll start looking at how the campaign has impacted my revenue and my reporting. However, in Journey Builder, if you wanted to see how the click-through and open rate went with, say, a content that shows a jacket and then content that shows a pants, then you should really separate those emails so that you can see the different paths. And then you can start to have a path for a particular segment, understand that segment, and then understand what needs to change within a particular segment. So that's just one of my tips when you are creating. And I do always suggest that when you are first to Journey Builder, to just try to separate those paths in the beginning so you can start to understand your customers. Once you're more confident with your customers, then you should really you can start looking at dynamic content and then looking at the other outcomes.
Great. All right, so the next part of the webinar is that we're going to talk about Journey Builder. And just this slide that you might have seen before really showcases Journey Builder and how it relates to the other modules within Marketing Cloud. So Journey Builder is really the core of Marketing Cloud, and you can see in this diagram as well, it sits in the middle. And the reason for that is that it uses multiple aspects of the different studios and builders that you have in Marketing Cloud. Especially if you're doing cross-channel, you will use Email Studio, Mobile Studio, for example, Advertising Studio, and all of that comes together in Journey Builder. So it's a very important element of Marketing Cloud. Probably the most important element. Just a quick introduction of what Journey Builder is. So Journey Builder is just basically you're building automated journeys for your prospects or customers. You can bring all your marketing communication into the one module by building single holistic multi-channel journeys. And you're able to trigger any of these communications for these customers based on specific dates, durations, or information that you have about them and how they have engaged with you on previous communications. Why would you use journeys? There's a few reasons for that. And the first reason, visualizing your strategies with journey mapping. So that ties in what we said before and what Paul said as well, is that you can lay out your visual customer journeys into Journey Builder. Journey Builder has very easy drag and drop functionality in terms of dragging in the different steps. So you can already build out all your customer journeys directly in the tool, and they can be simple or complex journeys. You can use them for reference and revision as well. Connecting every department. So like we said, uniting marketing, commerce, sales, and service in the overall customer journey to increase the engagement and the satisfaction. And using one voice across every marketing channel. So no more siloed data, no more siloed communication. Communicate seamlessly across email, SMS, push, ad, landing pages, or apps, and make sure that your customers get the right information wherever they are in the customer journey. So we used this slide in our previous webinar about the contact model, but just showing it again, completing that marketing profile of your customer. So just highlighting that you will have different types of assets or different types of information that all tie together in the contact model in Marketing Cloud. It can be demographics, behavioral, transactions that you might have, predictive intelligence, artificial intelligence, different preferences and different channel identifiers as well. So a quick recap on contact model, because it is a very important element of Journey Builder, is that Contact Builder is really the UI portal and framework where you organize all your information and you build that single customer view. Within Contact Builder, and I'll show you this in the demo as well, you'll have different attribute groups, and that's really where you build relationships between different data sources, or as they're called, data extensions in Marketing Cloud. And this will allow you to create your different segments and have a single customer view and use that data for your journeys as well.
Yeah, so if you see on the right hand side, that's how the attributes groups would look. So it's really building that entity relationship diagram, which builds all relationships to help you create segments using all these different data sources. So some of the things that you should think about, that the data, the attribute groups are used, and we'll touch on this for decision making as well as entry data. But what that means is that once that you create this attribute group, that you can actually use that to make a decision split within your journey, to look back at that data to say, did they perform this? For example, one of the most used use cases is, did they purchase? So if you've got a transactional attribute group created, which is constantly being updated, they enter the journey, and then you send them an email, want them to call to action to purchase, and we do a decision split. Did they purchase? That needs to look at data outside, which is a part of these attribute groups, to then be able to make the decision where they did purchase, so that it ties the person together. And that's why it's important about the contact model, and why we're showing it again, is because you need to create these attributes to be able to tell Marketing Cloud that that is the same person, and that's what attributes are trying to achieve. I've just got another point there, that not all data extensions need to be added to the attribute if it's not required. So I get a lot of questions like, when do I do add an attribute group, when do I don't? You should think about all the data that you are going to use, and then if it's a data that you're going to continuously use, and that should be an attribute group. I know some customers will do one-off type campaigns and events, and they'll bring in a new attribute group. So that's okay to add, but I wouldn't recommend creating new data extensions every time for a new event. You'd want to think about whether you can reuse the same data extension within that with that data that's coming through, in order for the attribute group to use it.
Yeah, or have a master data extension that contains all the event information and just add upon that instead of creating new data extensions each time.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so next we're going to talk about some of the elements of Journey Builder, and I wanted to start off with Journey Builder entries. So there are 6 different types of entry sources you can use to inject your customers into a journey. They're called data extension. You have an API event. So if you have a data extension, is a table of data that you create in Journey Builder and use that as your entry. That often ties with an automation to actually push them into the journey. API event, if you have any API integration. So we have worked with customers that have sign-up forms, for example, that directly trigger them to be injected into the journey via the API. The other option you have is Cloud Pages. So Cloud Pages are Marketing Cloud forms that you can use. And that works well if you want to create a simple landing page, for example, on a Cloud Page, you want to add a smart capture form. And when they fill out that form, they get injected into a journey and maybe receive a confirmation and then additional steps after that. Audiences tie in with Mobile Connect. So what you can do is that you can create different lists of your mobile subscribers and then inject them into a journey as well. Salesforce data, so that comes when you've done the integration with your Salesforce CRM. And this is often used when Salesforce CRM is the entry source. So whenever for example, new lead or a new contact is created, you can use the Salesforce data entry, and that will directly inject them into that journey. And then the last one is event. So event is all around date-based attributes. So you can think about renewals, or maybe we often use it for birthday journeys. So around their birthday, every single year, they can enter that journey. For each of these entries, you can also apply filter criteria to control exactly who enters into that journey. Okay. Some of the Journey Builder activities. So when you start building out the different flows within Journey Builder, you can drag in different activities. And there's basically 3 types of activities. The first one is messaging and advertising activities. So we can see here, depending on what you have available in your account, but you can send an SMS, you can send a push notification, or you can send an email. And then you can also add them to an advertising audience or an advertising campaign within the journey. So that is really on the communication side of the journey builder. The next step is the flow control. So flow control really allows you to decide what path a contact is going to go through based on either of these splits. So you can add different weights. So wait by duration is where you just set a certain amount of time to wait. So that can be minutes, days, weeks, months. Wait by attribute is where you wait until a date attribute that you have until of that contact. So maybe wait until the renewal date or until 7 days before the renewal date. That can be different for each customer. Wait until date is where you just set a certain date. So maybe you have an event on the 25th of May. You can say, I want everybody to wait until the 23rd. I'm setting that date, and then we send a pre-reminder before the event. Decision splits is where you can create different paths based on the data that you have about a customer. And that can be any type of data. Random split is if you want to test out different types of communication in a journey. So it's a little bit like A/B testing maybe within a journey, is that where you can have a random split. Maybe people in the first path, you will give them an email. The second path, you will do an email and an SMS. And then the third path, you only do an SMS. And then over time, you can see what works well within your journey. Engagement split is where you do a decision split based on previous engagement they have done with an email. That can be open clicks or bounces. So if they have not opened an email, I want to send them a reminder email. And join is what Paul mentioned as well, is where you can join them back up. So we'll show that in the demo how that works. Some of the sales and service cloud activities that you can have when you have that integration with your CRM really allows you to update or change records directly in your CRM. And you can create new records as well. So you can assign a task, for example, to a lead or a contact, create an opportunity, update the lead or the contact record, create or update a case, add them to a campaign or change the campaign member status, update the account, update any other objects, or even convert the lead directly in the journey. So there's some really useful activities that you can do within Journey Builder.
And just on that, there are ways actually to create custom activities in Marketing Cloud or Journey Builder. Some of the custom activities that you could use is to create a custom activity that hits another API, for example, to trigger an SMS, things like that. And just a question from Sant on whether you can have your WhatsApp Messenger. You can create a custom activity that will be able to hit WhatsApp. So that would definitely help with that requirement. So I mean, you just understand the requirements, whether they're open APIs and things like that. But there are use cases on the WhatsApp. Yes, the masterclasses are being recorded.
Yeah, so sorry, I forgot to mention that they all get uploaded to YouTube as well.
And so you'll be able to share it with everyone, Claire. But yeah, custom activities within Journey Builder is also something you can discuss with us that we can help you with in maybe creating some enhancements into the journeys.
Yeah. Okay. The other thing that you have to set when you created, oh, sorry.
Is it possible to have a wait time for specific daytime wait every Friday at 4 p.m.? Not sure every Friday, but you have the wait until date. If you've got an attribute that updates and that you have it created, then you can use wait by attribute. So that's a way around that, Chris. I hope that answers it. But let's get into let's just keep going. So we do want to give some time for the demo because I'm sure everyone wants to see us demo some of Journey Builder. So let's just keep going.
All right, so I'll keep going. We can do some of the questions at the end as well. So just with Journey Builder settings, when you configure a journey, there's always an entry mode that you have to configure for contact entry. And you can see it here on the right-hand side that there's 3 options. One of them is no re-entry. So we often see this for a one-off journey, welcome journey, for example. There's no re-entry needed. They enter that journey once. You could do re-entry anytime, especially renewal journeys or appointment journeys. They might have multiple appointments, so you want to be able to re-enter them anytime to send those appointment reminders, or you can have a re-entry only after exiting. Now you always need to configure one of these entry modes when you configure a journey. The big thing that you need to understand with Journey Builder, especially when you use decision splits, is using attributes from either contact data or journey data. And journey data is basically the information that you bring into the journey from the moment the contact enters. So it's a snapshot of the information at that point of time. This information won't change, so it's static. Contact data really uses the backend, so it uses that contact builder and those different attribute groups, and it gives you the most up-to-date version of those attributes or fields as the journey goes on. So especially when you're doing a decision split and you want to check for a change, you should always use contact data. And both journey and contact data can be used in decision splits, but when you set up a goal or exit criteria, you can only use contact data because you're checking for a change. And because journey data is static, you can never check when something has happened. For example, a customer has renewed. Okay, the other thing that you can do with Journey Builder is set up a goal and exit criteria. And I definitely recommend doing this because goals really show the ROI of journeys. And we always recommend to just have one goal because it's easier to see than what do you really want to achieve with that journey. Do you want somebody to sign up? Do you want somebody to purchase or complete a form? As long as that data is measured, you can set it up as a goal. And the goal really checks, sorry, Paul?
I was going to say, yeah, so goals are really important to know what the goal is, that particular journey. You know, what you want is the journey for them to sign up, then that's one goal. If the journey is for them to purchase, then that's a different goal and that's a different journey. What we've done with some customers is that we've got them to sign up, they go through the welcome journey, and then once they've hit the welcome journey and they've purchased, they get then the thank you for purchasing, or they've done the welcome journey, then we then take them to a new journey, which shows them, takes them a path of purchasing. So based on what we know about you, here are some products that you might like. And then, so that's the type of journey. So you can see there, we're separating the two journeys because the initially was the first one, maybe not, you know, maybe sign up for an event or something like that. The other one is to actually get them to purchase.
Yeah. The other thing you can set up is exit criteria. So that's really if you want to remove a contact from a journey. So a journey has a start and an end, but during that journey, they can meet the exit criteria and be removed from that journey. Now, as soon as the contact meets the exit criteria, they will exit. But one thing to note is that exit criteria only get evaluated after every wait. So if you have a 7-day wait, for example, and the contact meets the exit criteria on day 2, while they're in that 7-day wait, they won't exit the journey till that wait is completed, and then the exit criteria gets evaluated. Now, goals can be the same as exit criteria, but they can also be completely different.
Just to add on exit criteria, as Maartje mentioned, that the exit criteria gets evaluated at the wait periods, which means that you don't exactly know when someone's exiting. So sometimes you can actually just create an exit path so you know how many people have exited. So there are a couple of ways to do exit criteria. So just to think about it that way. We do have one question just while we're on this topic from Tara. How can you do goals based upon date entered journey? I think you always need the data points available to do the goal setup. So definitely, I mean, the goals are all related to the data that you've got within the contact builder in order for you to then achieve that. So it's not related to data that's sitting within the entry. Anything to add on that, Maartje?
I'm not 100% sure what she means, but sometimes what we do if we want to compare something from the moment they have entered a journey, you can actually use the update contact step and then just write the date from the moment they enter into the journey if you want to use that as an attribute to compare in your goal.
Tara, if there's anything else, just let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Got it. Thanks. She says.
Okay.
Okay. Let's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. All right.
Wait, there's one more question. Is there a way for a customer to exit journey before or once they have achieved the goal? So you can actually set the journey goal to have that as the same as the exit criteria. So
yeah.
So they can exit at the same time.
Yeah. So as soon as they meet the goal, they also exit the journey.
All right, I think we're just about 2 slides from the demo, and the 2 slides that we're going to show, this one's very quick. I just want to show before we go into demo. It's just really showing the decision splits and the journey. Like this one is just showing Salesforce data. We've got a hot, warm lead. So if you've got your Salesforce data where you have already configured that someone's a hot, a warm, or cold, then you could actually create, so you've got a 2-day wait and they send them an email. So you can see that the top bar or the top path there is just sending them emails on a weekly cadence because they are qualified. And that's what we're trying to have them, well, the emails they need to get. So essentially in those emails would be content about, give them information about how they can continue to engage with us and what information they need. Whereas if it's a warm lead, you can take them down a path and send them an email saying, can you give us some more information? Then you do a decision split if that information has been completed, which is sitting in the CRM. And then you can say, yes, it has. Okay, great. Have they given us additional information as well? Then let's make them join up the top and get the second email. So you can see the joins that I keep taking them up all the time to just ensure that we're taking them on that top path. So that's what I was talking about earlier, about making sure the top path is what you want them to be following at all times. The next slide is just on what the art of possible. And this is just what we tend to say is make money while you sleep with marketing automation. And what we mean by that is, in this particular example, you have a customer who has not been engaging with the brand or hasn't used the platform in 3 months or 90 days. So we want to send them a dynamic offer email. And what we're saying there is that dynamic offer email is a relevant email based on what you know of that person. Gone are the days that you send, oh, you haven't engaged with us in 90 days, we miss you, and click here to engage. I think we're now more savvy as ever. And as I was talking about the customer experience, that I would like everything that you know about me to be featured in the email to say, hey, Paul, last time you were with us, you shopped with these products. Do you know that they're now on special? Or here are some products that are like that in case you're looking to buy. Then you can do something like, if they didn't open that email, send a reminder SMS. You can then add them to an advertising audience. So we find, well, studies have shown that there's an increase of 22% if they're added to an advertising audience as well as receiving an email. And if you think about that yourselves, that sometimes you might have signed up to a brand, you have not opened it, but you do see the brand name in your emails when you're scrolling through. Once you see that, you see that Facebook ad, you actually almost have an association. Oh, I saw that email in my inbox. So that's why they're saying there's a 22% increase in conversions if the two are associated. In the next case we've got here, they made a purchase, didn't make a purchase, go through. If they did make a purchase, then we're removing them from advertising audiences. What we want to say there as well is that another use case is, let's say you had a product that was on special, that person, people bought it before it was on special at full price. So you don't want to have people who bought at full price seeing that ad that it was at 20%, because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to comment on that ad. They're going to say, oh my gosh, I bought it for full price. This is absurd. So that's the use case for that. And then it's follow-up email. What we're just trying to show here is how you can use every channel in a journey to be able to get the outcomes you need or make that goal.
Right.
So just one more question. Is there a way of customer to exit a journey before once they have achieved the goal? Yeah, so you can have separate exit criteria to the goal. So if the exit criteria was different to the goal, that will exit that.
Yeah. So a goal might be they've purchased, and the exit criteria might be the customer's no longer active. So that can be different. So as soon as they're no longer active, they can exit the journey, which is different from the goal.
All right.
Okay.
Next one is exciting.
Live. There we go. All right. Okay. So I'm currently in our Marketing Cloud instance, and I'm just going into Contact Builder. So when you're in Contact Builder, this is what we were talking about before, the contact model. I'm currently in Data Designer, and what that shows me is that in the middle I have my contact, so the individual, and surrounding that are different attribute groups. Now these attribute groups contain normally different types of data about me. So we have some system attributes. They come with a platform, such as containing email data, so everything related to the emails that I've gotten, which I've opened, what I've clicked on, system attributes, mobile data, and you might have, your e-commerce platform can be one of the attribute groups. You might have an event attribute group if you have an event integration. All these different touch points and different data ties back to me as the individual customer. And we can use all these different attributes and attribute groups in our journeys to do decision splits or to create our segments. One of the attribute groups is actually our CRM. And when I open that attribute group, it's going to show me the different data extensions within that attribute group. And as you can see, there are different relationships between those data extensions. So you might have all your leads, and then related to that, you can have events. So that way you can create a segment, or you can create a decision split. Give me every lead that has attended this particular event. So the event data extension contains the event information, and the lead data extension contains the personal information about the lead. You can see this contains quite a lot of different attributes, but it's important to understand how the relationships are set. So if it's a one-to-many or one-to-one relationship between those different data extensions. So we can have leads and check what campaigns they're part of, what surveys they have filled in, maybe what opportunities or what events they've gone through. Okay. Next, we're just going to go into Journey Builder. So we've built a demo journey for this webinar. And in this case, we are using the Salesforce data entry as our entry event. And what this entry specifies is that we look at our Salesforce CRM as soon as a new lead is being created, where the lead source equals ebook download. So how that looks like is that I would go to the website, I would request to fill out a white paper or an ebook, and often you have to fill out your details. That goes into the CRM and it creates me as a new lead. In that lead, it's specified where I'm coming from by the field called lead source. So I applied a filter on this entry to only allow leads to go in that have downloaded the ebook. So it's specific to ebook downloads. The first email that you might want to do is straight as soon as they enter into the journey and send out a confirmation email. Thank you for downloading the ebook. Here's the link. And then after 2 days, what we can do is drag in the engagement split. So the engagement split, it can track the performance of the previous email. So we can see whether they have opened that email. If yes, they follow the top path. If no, they follow a different path, and we send them a follow-up email. So maybe another reminder to download the ebook.
You could also use clicks and bounces. So if you, for example,
if they have,
click,
we can send you more information. Yeah. Yeah, so if you have a button, download ebook now within the email, we can track if they've clicked on that specific button and then do the decision split on that. We can send them more information. We might send them a form to fill out. And if they haven't, we can just send them a follow-up email. So we can target them with 2 different emails based on what they've done. If the follow-up email, if they still haven't engaged with that, what we can do is that we send them down the no path. We join them back up and we add them to an advertising audience with not engaged leads. So we might want to start targeting them via a different channel. If they have opened the email and they've shown engagement, we can join them back up and we can see what the lead status is. So for people that don't have CRM, in CRM you can manage different lead statuses. So the lead might come in as a new lead, and then over time, as they have opened an email, filled out forms, or engaged with you, that lead status can change to engaged. If we've marked them as an engaged lead, what we can actually do then is directly assign a task to a sales agent to contact that lead. And then if they haven't, then we will also add them to that not engaged lead advertising audience. So ideally, as Paul mentioned before, you want them to follow the top path. If for some reason they're going down one of the lower paths, we try to join them back up as soon as they have engaged. And in the end, what we want is the sales agent to have a conversation with that engaged lead.
Yeah, exactly. And see, I mean, you can see how the path can get quite complicated if you continue to go down paths of whether they're opened or not. One of the best practices is like you can't keep sending an email for someone to try to get them to open or engage with your emails. So, you know, think about how many times you want to talk to that person or try to talk to that person, and then have to give up at one point and have them just exit. So, you know, maybe think of like maybe 3 emails would be the kind of the sweet spot of sending them to email they haven't engaged, then typically just exit them. And what we've done with other customers, I mean, you can try, as we've got here, the not engaged leads to send an ad audience, as we discussed before. But what we have done with some customers is that we've updated either their master data extension or CRM with an unengaged field, which allows you or the customer to decide whether they want to continue to engage with them or remove them from the sends at that time. So you can also use that data for other purposes.
Yeah. A couple of the other options is that we've set a goal as well. So what do you really want to achieve with this journey? And in this case, we want to actually convert the leads into contacts or into customers. So we can set that filter criteria where we look at that lead status. As I said before, they would come in as a lead with status new, and in the end, we want that status to be converted. So once that sales agent has spoke to them, they can update the lead status to a converted lead, and that's what we check for. We can then say we want 50% of the population to convert. Then we have the option to also set that as the exit criteria, or we can have a different exit criteria defined in the exit criteria step. With this journey as well, oh, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No, go. There's some questions, but like just finish off there, then we can go into the question.
Okay. So just to show the journey settings that I was referring to before, in this case, we can set it to no reentry. So on the first time that they enter, especially in our CRM, if a new lead is created each time, then there's no reentry. But you can also have maybe a form that updates existing leads. So every single time I download an ebook, my status gets changed to new lead. And then you might have re-entry for that journey. Okay.
Go ahead.
Is there any?
Just a couple of questions. Yeah, there are. So, Lewis, this has been recorded and it will be available on our YouTube channel. Another question from Sylvia: how would you do a journey for sending newsletters, for example? So, Maartje, maybe we can just show how you can create a single journey entry.
Yes.
And just one question before we go on to that is Catherine's asking about why would you not nominate 100% of audience to convert? You can, but realistically, it's about what your goals and you're setting for yourself. So if 100 people enter that journey, if you are confident that you can get 100% of those people to convert, then fantastic. But really, when you set those metrics, because you have a overall goal achievement in the journey dashboard, and it will show there if you've set it to 50%, and then it will say you're close to 50% or you're at the 30%. So what that's allowing you to do is to come into the journey every time and say, okay, I'm only at 30%, and after 2 weeks, I don't like that. I want to try to improve that. So then you took the metrics and you go to each of the emails. You say, okay, is that first email, what's the open rate? The open rate seems good, but what's the click-through rate? Okay, the click-through rate is not as good. The call to action maybe is not working for me. Things aren't. Let me go and change that. So what Journey Builder allows you to do is to continually optimize the journey to be able to hit the KPI or the goal that you've set. So that's my reason for not setting 100%. I think it's unreal. I think I don't think everyone will realistically convert. I think everyone would love that, but I think you want to set yourself some realistic goals so you can then try to see if you can achieve that. And every time you do these journeys, you can always increase that based on your last journey. So there's no, I guess, benchmark on what that should be. It's really about how your customers react, and then how you're optimizing that journey every time to then maybe continue to increase that conversion rate. So yeah, if you want to go in and show how do you do it for a newsletter, there is a feature, and you can do it while I'm talking, Maartje, just start from scratch, that you can do a single send or a multi-send. Single send is what Marketing Cloud or Salesforce are trying to drive all of its customers to use Journey Builder for all single send. So really, it means that you're no longer using Email Studio, you're using Journey Builder for all your sends. And there are some very much good pros for you doing that. So it is something it's fantastic to do. As you can see here, it's just a single send of an email for a newsletter. So Sylvia, you can do it this way. Me, myself, I still think the multi-brand or multi-step journey is probably the better one to use, because then it allows you to add extra additional things. Like, let's say the newsletter is going out, you want to check a few clicks and call to action, and you want to then maybe prompt a different email from that. So you have that ability to do that with a multi. You can still do a single send in the newsletter for a journey in the multi-brand.
Yeah, and especially we want to do cross-channel, because this is just a single send email as well.
Yeah, so we've just got another question. Besides email and SMS, WhatsApp and WeChat are popular channels. Does Salesforce Marketing Journey Builder support WhatsApp and WeChat channels? There is support. It's not out of the box functionality. So it's about working with on the customer activity that to allow for that. I think WhatsApp is a little bit more supported at this stage, and I have seen some use cases for WeChat. If needed, this from Gilbert, if needed, is there a way to force exit a contact in a journey? So probably a good question there. You can't pause a journey, unfortunately. So what that means is if someone's going through that journey, you can't force exit just one person. You can stop a journey, but the stop journey means it exits everyone out. And what happens is, when you've got people already in the journey, they're snapshotted in that journey, and they basically have to finish the journey. So what you have is a concept of creating new versions. New versions allow you to change, say, oh, I don't like that engagement split, I want to add a decision split. So you have to create a new version. But it means that if I've already been entered into the journey, I won't go to the new version. Only new people will enter the new version. So it's not very easy to force exit a particular contact. You would have to think about this before you consider your journey to have that as an exit criteria, or allow it in an exit path. When a customer enters the journey, where in the journey does it check to see if a customer is still opted into marketing? Does this need to be built into the journey? Great question. So with Marketing Cloud, there's when you're integrated with Salesforce, it uses the email opt-out field, so that automatically, as soon as someone opts-out, it checks that and it will kick them out of the journey or exit them. With Marketing Cloud, if it's directly in Marketing Cloud, you have status unsubscribing or subscribers, so that also does the same thing. If you have your own opt-outs, for example, let's say you have set preferences for each journey, and you need to opt them out, then you need to consider that in your entry, and you need to consider that in your exit.
Yeah, and also with every email that you set up in the journey, you say whether it's a commercial or transactional email. And by default, commercial emails in Marketing Cloud, they look at that all subscriber status. So it looks at somebody's unsubscribed, so they won't receive that email. But if it's set at transactional, normally that bypasses the unsubscribed. So I'm unsubscribed for your commercial emails, but I can still go into this journey and receive my transactional communication.
Yeah. Another question, a few questions from one from Nathan. When you change the email template, do you need to stop and start the journey to apply the changes? So in the past, actually, you needed to create a new version and you weren't able to actually update the email. But now they've made it so you actually just go in the email, select the email, and then it republishes it. So you do have to select it. It just doesn't automatically update once you've updated the email in Email Studio or Content Builder.
Yeah, so within a running journey, you can update the content, you can swap out the email template or select a different email for that matter in the journey. But if you want to make any structural changes to the flow of a journey, that's where you will have to run a new version of that journey. So if you want to change the weights or you want to add additional decision splits, you will need to create version 2 and then activate version 2.
I think that's answered this question, Maartje. It's what about SMS? Do you need to stop and start to apply the changes to a template? Just to answer with a stop and start, you wouldn't stop a journey because, as I said, the stop kicks everyone out, so it would be very hard to get everyone back into the journey. You'd create new versions. Would SMS need to be? I don't think you can change an SMS on the fly like you can with email.
No, you can actually, because it uses content builder now as well.
Okay.
So you can change the content as well. Obviously, people that pass that step won't get it, but any new people that will pass that SMS, you can change the copy.
Okay, it's a question from Shen. Is it possible to check every email perform in Journey Builder? So there is an analytics dashboard that will show you all the email metrics of each journey, each email that's within the journey. So I hope that answers your question. Kate is asking, what is the benefit of using Journey Builder? What is the benefit for using Journey Builder for a single email send when you can schedule an email to a data extension through Email Studio? Yes, that's great question. And this is why customers or Salesforce are trying to push everyone to use Journey Builder. So yes, you can still consider using Email Studio. I think there's still very much a small gap, in my opinion, of using Email Studio and Journey Builder to do single sends. I think you can't do counts with Journey Builder as you can do with Email Studio once you end it. So you probably have to filter it before you send it. One of the biggest benefits is being able to choose what email address is being sent to. So when you have a database, and this is going on more of the underlying how data extensions work and all subscribers, but essentially when you create a data extension in Marketing Cloud, you have let's say a subscriber key, which is your customer number, and then you have email address. If a person comes in and changes their email address in that data extension, it actually doesn't reflect into all subscribers. So when you're using Email Studio, it actually will still send to the previous email address that was saved there, unless you update it in all subscribers. What Journey Builder allows you to do, it actually allows you to choose the entry of the data extension email address, and at the same time that will update all subscribers. So that's one of the benefits of why you would use Journey Builder over Email Studio. Hope that answers it for you, Kate. Queenie's, I can't find the Masterclass playlist in YouTube. Has the videos from last week been uploaded? I'll get our marketing team to confirm that. I mean, I'm not sure much if you can ask Karen to give us the link.
It'll be I'll make sure to get it done today for last week.
Okay. What is your, another question from Christian, what is your recommendation and the easiest way to export a list of contacts in a particular step in the journey, e.g. people in a 5-day wait step? So what we do is we do gates. So in between every single journey, we will have an update content, you can see there, and that allows us to update a data extension where particular are. And this helps us where if you ever do need to get people out of this journey and then maybe create a new journey, you will know exactly where they were at what point, and that helps you identify that. And then you can export that mission. If that answers it. Mitch, you've got, how do you set a journey to be transactional? So it's not really that there's a difference in transactional or there's a difference in commercial. You just create the journey as you would. Typically, our transactional journeys are API, or you can create with data extension. But essentially what Maartje was talking about, when you create the email, there's a send classification that you choose, and you choose either the send classification being commercial or you choose transactional. When you choose transactional, it will give you the option, it does have the option of we'll send it to people who are subscribed. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
I'm just conscious of the time. I'll just answer the last two questions. Can two versions of the journey be live and sending to customers? No, yes. Two versions can be, because one will be finishing and the other one will start.
Yeah, Yeah, so as soon as you activate a new version, the previous version will set to finishing. That means everybody that's still in there will stay in there until they finish, and then the new people will go into version 2. And then moving forward, eventually version 1 will run out. Everybody's gone through that, and version 2 will be the most up-to-date version.
Shen's just got another question. I want to track rate, open rate, click-through rate, and open rate in the journey builder for each email in a dashboard. So yeah, I mean, it should show in the dashboard. You also can go to tracking in Email Studio, and it does show you the opens and clicks for each of the emails that are sent out as well.
Yeah, and also within the journey, when it's an active journey, you can click on each of the emails and can see quite detailed tracking of the individual emails within the journey.
All right, I think that's the end of the questions, and really thank you for everyone attending today. And as I said, there's a next week's session. Maartje, what's next week's session?
Yeah, data segmentation.
Data segment. And I've just made a small change to our session 6, where I was going to talk on SMS, but I think with a lot of questions about Marketing Cloud Einstein, I think we'll touch on that. Yeah. All right, thank you everyone for attending. We really appreciate it, and we'll speak to you next week.
Thanks,
Please don't
everybody.
forget, if you need to contact us, that's afdigital.com.